You're welcome to today's lecture on today's lecture on history of biology education, SEB 101, and we are starting today with or the major thing we are going to look at today. We're going to look at the relationships between biology and other subjects, especially other science subjects. So the first one we're going to look at the relationship between biology and chemistry. Biology is the study of life, as we are aware of, and it is the scientific study of living organisms, while chemistry is the study of structures, composition, and properties. So all living organisms are made up of chemical compounds. Chemistry studies all these compounds. For example, there is a discipline that is referred to as a biochemistry. Biochemistry is the study of chemistry of living organisms. That is, it studies various processes and their chemical reactions that occur in living cells. That is, the chemical reactions that made up all these processes. That is what biochemistry is all about. Then organisms are made up of elements. For example, 99% of human body is made up of oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus, sulfur, sodium, chlorine, magnesium. So you will see that the body of the body of organisms, and especially human body, is made up of different elements. So the knowledge of all these elements are helpful in the study of life in biology. Living structures also, such as cell membrane, cell wall, and other organelles are also related to chemistry. It's the chemistry that explains how chemicals of cell membrane, the chemicals of cell membranes like carbohydrates, protein, and lipids, how they are arranged and in what proportion to form the cell membrane. So chemistry will explain the chemical composition, that is the chemical composition of cell membrane is going to explain their proportion, that is the proportion of each of them, and how they are arranged. Biological life processes such as metabolism, like you have the catabolism, metabolism, digestion, respiration, excretion, all of them, they are made up of chemical compositions. For example, chemical processes by which molecules in the body break down uh, 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 food. That's the chemical process. Digestion also involve chemicals like amylase, lipase, protease, hydrochloric acid. Excretion, as an example, involves removal of chemicals from the body of an organism. Such chemicals include urea, salt, carbon dioxide, and water. So many may not know that water is a chemical. It's a chemical because it is made up of elements. Simple as that. Then transportation, which is also a process in organisms, involves movement of chemicals. Chemicals such as ions, glucose, glycerol, minerals, vitamins, fatty acids, and hormones, both in plants and in animals. Then we have living organisms contain biological molecules such as nucleic acids, protein, carbohydrates, lipids. Nucleic acid is made up of nucleotides, and these nucleotides are in three parts. You have the phosphate group, you have 5-carbon sugar, and you have the nitrogenous base. All these ones are chemicals. They are chemicals, like I said the other time, because they are made up of elements. We also have proteins, different type of proteins. They are found throughout the body. Most times when somebody is growing or developing, we say that the person is taking enough protein. These proteins, they are made up of different elements, and so they are chemicals. We have lipids. They are formed by elements like carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Lipids functions as energy reserve, that is, it keeps energy in the body. In case there's need for energy, it's going to bring it up. Then it also regulates hormones and transmits nerve impulses. Carbohydrates consist of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, they are, different elements. Carbohydrates provide energy to the body and also prevent blood clotting. Look at another biological chemical process. Photosynthesis, for example. If you look at the equation that is normally used to represent photosynthesis and breathing on or respiration, you will see that they are made up of, each of them is made up of different elements, and that's why we say that it's a chemical process. Now let's look at the relationship between biology and physics. Why biology studies living organisms and their functions, just like I said the other time, physics, on the other hand, is the study of matter and energy, and how this, that is how matter and energy, how they interact with each other. The principles of physics are usually applied in biology, that is, they are applied in the explanation of biology concepts. There is also a discipline that we refer to as biophysics. Biophysics is like an interplay between biology and physics. If it applies, that is, it studies where or applies the principles of physics to study many biological processes, such as protein folding. We have an example that we refer to as protein folding, which is essential to understanding the function of these complex molecules. Then we also have the principle of thermodynamics and quantum mechanics in physics, which are also used to predict behavior of proteins and how they work. And I think you could remember, in biology we also make use of laws of thermodynamics, the first and second laws of thermodynamics, to explain the flow of energy in an ecosystem. So we also have what we refer to as biomechanics, which studies how living organisms move and how forces interact with their bodies. So this is an aspect where mechanics is being applied in biology. How is it applied? It is applied or in the study of movement of living organisms. For example, biomechanics is essential for developing prosthetics devices and treatment for injuries. Prosthetic devices are devices that are, maybe let me put it like this, they are artificial devices that are constructed to aid movements when a particular part of the body is damaged, especially in humans. Such principles in biomechanics being applied include mechanics, that is, principles that are being applied, principles of mechanics, principles in physics that are being applied in biology includes mechanics, kinematics, and fluid dynamics. We also have principles of physics that are usually used to create images of bodies' internal structure. That is, we use or apply the principle of physics in creating images of the body's internal structure. That is, when we want to see what is happening internally. For example, I think you're all aware and have heard of X-rays. You know what you do about X-rays. You all must have done X-ray before at one time or the other. It is the principle of physics that is being applied at that point. We also have what is referred to as compute tomography. That's what they refer to as CT scan. You've heard them say, they asked me to do CT scan. They asked my brother or my parent to do CT scan. That is application of physics in biology. You also have what we call magnetic resonance imaging, MRI. That one is very common. MRI is a form of scan or scans that use scans that use magnetic fields and radio waves. Magnetic fields and radio waves are physics, but being brought into biology. They produce detailed images of the body's organs and tissues, which are used for diagnosis. That is, when an individual is subjected to magnetic resonance imaging, is going to show all the parts of the body. Thus will help to be able to diagnose if a particular organ or a particular tissue in the body is not working well. We also have application of atomic force microscopy being used to study the structure and properties of biological molecules. When you say biological molecules, that is molecules like DNA and proteins, for better understanding of essential components of life. That is, to be able to understand the essential components of life. If it's this particular molecule, it is this particular AFM that is used to study the structure and the properties of this particular biological molecules. Now let's look at relationship between biology and mathematics. Mathematics, we are aware that mathematics deals with figures. Biology uses figures to express and interpret some processes in organisms. So biologists, they normally use mathematics to interpret certain concepts in biology. So mathematics plays a crucial role in better understanding the natural world. Mathematics is used to measure, predict, and understand the natural phenomena. It's usually used to measure. When you want to measure certain things, we use figures. When you want to predict, we use figures, and this is mathematics. So it helps when you use it to understand the natural phenomenon. There's an aspect in biology that is referred to as mathematics biology or biomathematics. It's actually a field in biology that examines mathematical representations of biological systems. That is, mathematical representation of biological concepts or systems is referred to as a biomathematics. That's a field of study under biology. It's the mathematical representations and modelings of biological problems, such as varieties of mathematical theories and techniques. Now, mathematics is used in tracking changes in organisms. For example, growth. If you want to know whether a particular organism is growing, what we do, if you want to compare the growth, is that we measure. You measure with a calibrated instrument, maybe like or you measure with something like, it depends on what you want to measure or what you want to track the changes. If, for example, you plant something and you want to track the changes to monitor the growth, then you use something like a ruler. You measure, yes, when you measure, maybe today it is 10 centimeter, or let's say 5 centimeter. After 24 or after 48 hours, you measure again. You are interpreting this in figures. So if the first measurement is 5 centimeter, the next one is 10, the next one is 12, maybe another one is 15, maybe another one is 20. So with this, when the figure is increasing, you will be able to track the changes that yes, the plant is increasing in height and in growth, positively. And even if the figure is coming down, you will also be able to explain. So mathematics is applied in biology to be able to track changes in organisms. We also have mathematical models that we use, like equations, like the equations that I gave you concerning that is used to represent the process of respiration and the process of photosynthesis. So we have equations or formulas that can predict or describe natural occurrences. So we have some other formulas that can be used to predict natural occurrences and can also predict behavioral patterns and population changes. Also, in developmental biology means that the development of organisms right from the cellular level. The process leading from one cell to the complex embryo are explained from basic mathematics principles. For example, in developmental biology, we know and we always say that yes, the cell is cell from the male and a cell from the female, they come together and they fuse together to become one to form what we refer to as zygote. After some time, this will divide again to form two, we divide again to form four, we divide again to form 16, we divide again. At this time we are talking about figures. So till it becomes an embryo that in humans we refer to as a fetus. And at a particular time, when you cannot count the cells again, we say that it becomes a blastospore, that is an embryo of so many cells. But nevertheless, even before we could not count again, we know that it starts with one cell coming together, from each side, and fuse together to become one cell again and start the dividing, and we monitor that. These are basic mathematics principles. Mathematics techniques or models that are usually applied in biology includes, that is, those mathematics techniques that we make use of in biology. Make use of calculus, we use probability theory, we use statistics, we use linear algebra, we use algebraic geometry, dynamical systems, differential equation, and a lot more. Those are the few examples that I have stated here for you. Now let's look at the relationship between biology and agricultural science. Biology will be referred to as the foundational science for agricultural science. Biology studies life of living organisms such as plants and animals, while agriculture is basically the growing of crops and the rearing of animals that we refer to as livestock for man or for human use, that is as food or maybe as raw materials for industries. Like for example, our leather shoes, they are gotten from animal skins. So understanding biological processes is important for effective agricultural practices. That is, for effective crop improvements, an agriculturist needs to understand how such crop grows, needs to understand the physiology of that particular crop. That's to understand the structures of that particular crop. The same thing with livestock management, pest control. When it comes to pests, the agriculturist must be able to have the knowledge of the biological process of that particular pest, how the pest grows, what happens to the pest, what the pest does, all these ones, and sustainable farming techniques. Agricultural science actually relies heavily on the study of living organisms provided by biology to optimize food production. So in essence, what we are saying, or what I'm trying to say here, is that for an optimized food production, whether crop or animal, agricultural science relies heavily on the knowledge provided by biology. Agriculture relies on biological principles to cultivate crops and also raise livestock, that is animals, efficiently. So these are very, very important. So we can say that biology plays a bifocal role, that is an important role in agriculture, influencing everything from crop production, that is, biology influences everything from crop production right to livestock management. So understanding biological concepts such as genetics, physiology, and ecology is crucial, very crucial to improving agricultural practices and developing disease resistant crops and enhancing crop yield. So the knowledge of biological concepts such as genetics is important, because you need to know how the genetic makeup of a particular plant before you plant it. You need to know whether such plant is resistant to disease or not. So this is very important. We also have what we refer to as biotechnology. Like I explained the other time, it's a branch of biology and it plays an important or a significant role in this modern agriculture by genetically modifying crops and animals to increase productivity and resilience to environmental stressors. So what this one is trying to say is that with the knowledge of biotechnology, now they can produce genetically modifying crops, that is crops that have been modified genetically. For example, if they see crops or plants of the same species and they know that the lifespan of one is 6 months, but it doesn't bear good seed, or it doesn't the fruit is normal, the seed is not normally, normally bring out, it doesn't bring out many seeds, but they have another one that spends maybe more than 6 months and yet it brings out many seeds. So they will crossbreed. That's what they call crossbreed. They will not take from the gene of the first one, put it together with the other one by, through fertilization. So when they have that, we have what we call genetically modifying crops. The same thing is also done in the case of animals. So they now have good crops or good livestock that could produce, good seed, many seeds, especially for human consumption, and that could be able to withstand the environmental challenges. Overall, we can say that a solid foundation in biology is essential, very essential, for sustainable and innovative agricultural advancement. Now, let's look at the relationship between biology and geography. The relationship between biology and geography is just through a particular field that is referred to as biogeography. Geography studies the climate, the earth surface, vegetation, the landforms, the geological features, and all the rest, the diversity of life. But you see, the biology studies life. So where biology and geography, where they intertwine is, while biology studies life, geography studies the distribution of these lives, the distribution of plants, the distribution of animals, the distribution of living organisms generally across the earth surface, considering factors like the climate, the landforms, because the climate determines the type of animals or plants you find in a particular environment. The landforms, that is the type of land you have in a particular place, also determines the type of animals or plants that are found at that particular place. So why do you have diversity of life? So you could see that biology and geography, they are related, especially in areas that we refer to as species endemism. Species endemism simply means, why are organisms in a particular area, where are they dominant, or they are present in particular area and they are not present in another area. They are also study, that is biology and geography also have relations in migration patterns and as well as biodiversity. Now let's look at relationship between biology and economics. Both of them studies human beings. Human being, in biology we study human being as the highest of all animals. Economics is basically, studies what we mean, or all about human beings. There's also a particular aspect that is referred to as bioeconomics. That is biological concepts being applied to understand economics. Biology and economics share concepts like competition, optimization, adaptation. An area of overlap in the two disciplines, that is in biology and economics is natural resources management. You have biological insight that inform behavioral economics, that is, human biological factors like hormones can impact economic choices. That is, the hormonal makeup of a particular individual can actually impact economic choices. We also have ecological principles from biology that are being used in economics for economic analysis and also used to study interactions between human economics and ecosystem. So understanding population growth pattern in biology can also be used to model economic growth. You will agree with me that that's with the biology and the economics. You will agree with me that the usual saying that biology is the mother of all sciences. That is, with biology, you can say other sciences inside biology. You learn other sciences inside in biology. You have other sciences in biology. This is not just the pure sciences alone, but also social sciences like economics, like geography. They are there in biology, and that is one of the reasons why, look at the pure sciences for example. You see, that is why the knowledge of biology could also be applied in all these areas. So, and that is one of the reasons why, when you as biologists today in an higher institution, you will not only learn something about biology, but you will also learn things about chemistry, learn about physics, learn about all these ones, so that by the time you are learning them in biology, it will be easier for you to interpret. It will be easier for you to understand. Biological models of animal behavior, for example, can also inform what you call game theory in economics. So the study of animal behaviors, we study animal behaviors, different animals in biology. This can also be a sort of information in what we refer to as game theory in economics. This is about analyzing strategic interactions between economic agents. Biological signaling mechanisms such as the animal displays, signaling, that is signals, biological signals such as animal displays, can also be used to understand how businesses signal quality in markets will be understood in economics. So like I said the other time, biology is principally the mother of all sciences and the mother of most disciplines. And so it is always good to understand this and understand how to interpret all this.